Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Student Experience panel. My name is Busayo. I'm currently a third-year biomedical engineering student at UBC Vancouver. And today we're joined with many other students from UBC Vancouver and UBC Okanagan. So throughout the course of our chat, feel free to ask any questions using the stage Q&A. If you see a question that you agree with or that you want to hear more about, you can also upvote it. And then we also have representatives from many design teams in the sessions chat, so you can kind of float around between here and there as well. And also keep in mind that we're going to have an advising Q&A starting at 7:15. If it's advising or course registration, you can save that till then. All right, so great. So today, like I said before, I'm joined with many students. I'm just going to start with some quick introductions. So Robin, would you like to go first?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Robin Argument, and I'm in my second year of civil engineering at the UBC Okanagan campus.
Great, thank you. Ashton?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ashton Kennedy, and I'm in my second year at UBC Okanagan doing mechanical engineering.
Thank you. How about you, Krish?
Hey everyone, my name is Christian, and I'm in my third year of geological engineering, also at the Vancouver campus.
And Jing?
Hi everyone, my name is Jing, and I'm at second year of mechanical engineering at the Vancouver campus.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So as we begin to explore the student experience aspect of our programs, we're going to start at the very beginning. And I'd like to ask our panelists, what inspired you to pursue a degree in engineering, and what led you to choose UBC over other universities? Again, I'm going to start with you, Robin.
Perfect. I decided to go into engineering because growing up, my dad will always get me to help him with construction projects in our garage. And I really like the idea of being able to be creative and plan out and actually create something with my own hands. This paired with my love of math and physics inspired me to go into engineering. I chose to go to UBCO specifically because I really like all the opportunities the university offers, and I like the idea of going to a smaller school, and I love being outdoors.
That's really great. Thank you. Okay, how about you, Ashton?
Yeah, so I chose engineering because growing up, similar to Robin, I also super fascinated by how things work, like designing things, and math and physics was also something I really enjoyed in high school. And then I chose the UBC Okanagan campus specifically because I'm actually from Kelowna and it's close to home and I really love it here. It's a really beautiful campus, so it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
That's great. Krish?
Hey, so the reason why I chose UBC engineering is always as a kid, I'd really like solving problems, whether that's through building stuff, like using Legos or just anything. So just being able to solve like real world problems and with tangible things just was really enticing to me. So that was one of the main factors of why I chose engineering.
Great, thank you. And Jing?
To continue on with everybody's input on solving problems, I specifically wanted to solve a problem that's related to sustainability because I watched a documentary, it's called Our Planet. So I was very inspired to have a degree that can help me understand existing solutions and ways to do things, but doesn't stop me from coming up with new solutions too. So I feel like UBC Engineering provided me a chance to have a very malleable degree because first year we all have the same program and I get to pick after I've been introduced to engineering because I don't have a strong engineering background in terms of in my family. So that's why I chose UBC.
That's really great. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, jumping into the why UBC engineering questions. So talking about the campus itself, I've only heard really good things about the Okanagan campus, but I've never been myself. Some of my siblings went there, but I never had the chance to visit. So Robin, could you tell me a little bit more about what stood out to you most about UBCO?
Yeah, definitely. What stood out to me most about UBCO was the smaller campus and community. It's super close to the ski hills, which is perfect for those who like to ski or just be outside. The smaller campus makes it super easy to meet people, and I really like that whenever I'm walking around campus, I almost always see a familiar face. As well, the UBCO campus offers an ideal opportunity to get to know your professors and TAs. It helps to build a one-on-one relationship that you might not get at a larger university.
It's really great. And then now let's shift our focus to your future aspirations. So considering the experiences that you had or you gained in your engineering program so far. Krish, how do you intend on using using your degree in your career?
For sure. I'm in geological engineering, so a big thing in geological engineering is consulting. So me personally, the goal is to be like an engineering on record of a big project like a dam or a mine waste facility, so something like that. So me personally, after graduation, I want to focus on the consulting route of geological engineering. And that's anything from just working with a bunch of consulting companies and trying to get as much technical knowledge so that after I get my PEng, I'm in a better situation where I can attain that goal of being engineering on record.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And while we're diving in some of the questions we had submitted earlier, feel free to ask questions again using the Q&A. We're just going to toggle between the two as well. So Jing, how has your experience so far at UBC met the expectations you had coming in? What has been your most memorable experience as a UBC student and specifically as an engineering student?
Yeah, great question. Before coming to UBC, all I hear a lot about first year engineering at UBC is just really hard curriculum-wise. So I was very anxious. I thought that I would just spend a lot of time at the library alone at night, just grinding away for exams. But after I came here, I was really surprised because I met so many amazing people that are just incredibly smart and also kind. And you just learn how to do things more efficiently. And you grow personally and also professionally in so many ways. And one important thing I want to bring up is also after coming to UBC, I made a ton of mistakes as a team member, as a student, as a work learn, and also as a friend. So UBC has provided, you might say, oh, that sounds awful. Like, why would you say that it's a great experience because you're making so many mistakes? But honestly, this place has provided me more than a place that just gives you academic challenge. It's also really challenging to be a student living by yourself the very first time. And overall, UBC is a place for me to fall, but also allow me to stand back up again and try. So most importantly, it's also really fun to be a part of a community. So yeah, so far I would say my experience at UBC has been very pleasant and really fulfilling.
Okay, thank you so much. That was really, really great. And like, I like what you said too with the mistakes. I think a lot of learning can be made through making mistakes, and it's just a part of growth. And so that's really well put. And I guess that transitions next into our next topic. So a lot of you will be moving away from your family to join another family here on campus. And another essential part of the student experience is feeling a sense of community on campus. And with that in mind, let's shift into how to find your community on campus 101. So Jumpstart, Imagine Day, and Create are great orientation options, great orientation opportunities to get involved at UBC. So again, Jing, could you tell us a bit more about how you did these orientation programs in your first year to become familiar with UBC and campus?
Yeah, for sure. I think orientation program is really helpful because school hasn't started yet. And first year, if you look at the standard timetable, it's like a block. So most of your days, if school already started, you would be spending a lot of time just studying and working on projects. So I feel like all of the orientation programs, they let you socialize in a more relaxed setting. And also you get to join a bunch of events, random events. So you get to meet people and have interaction. For example, I joined the Women in Engineering picnic before school starts. And I met Nara. She's now one of my biggest support at UBC. And we went skiing together, also did longboat this year together. So I feel like orientation program provide you much more random interaction, and you never know. They might just be the person that you live with during winter break and your roommates next year. So I truly, truly enjoy all of the orientation program. For me, I remember tapping into different cultures by learning different languages. So now I know how to say I'm happy in French, je suis content, but I also know how to say hi in Arabic, Alain. So it's really fun to just socialize with people before school starts. So I highly encourage everyone, if you have the opportunity to join Jumpstart and move in early and meet more people, say yes to events, and yeah, have fun.
Great. That was amazing. Thank you. And I guess with that, do you have any specific memorable moments from orientation?
Besides the Women in Engineering picnic, I also joined like a pottery session where I get to make my own cup while talking to people. I get to do drawings, and I think I also did like a tote bag sessions. So a lot of free goodies to take back and to remember. And yeah.
Great, thank you. And I'm just seeing a question in the chat from Jesse about secure bike storage within or near their dorms. I'm not sure if anybody on the panel rides a bike on campus. No. But I do know that on campus there are a lot of bike storage units that you can lock them within, and there's also just a lot of bike stands around. So those are good things to keep in mind as well.
I think my first year residence, it's Totem, and I think we have like it's almost like a little storage space that you can lock your bikes in, and multiple similar setup around campus all over. So pretty convenient.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And I just wanted to make a note that with the orientation programs on both campuses, Jumpstart is available for students on both campuses. However, Imagine Day is a UBC Vancouver related first day orientation event, and Create is a UBC Okanagan orientation event as well for first year students or second year transfer students. Okay, great. So for our panelists that have lived on campus, Robin, you mentioned that you lived on campus before. What was your experience like, and would you recommend it?
Yeah, I had a really great experience living on campus last year. I found it was a great way to make friends and get to know other first years and second years, both in and outside my program. I got so super close with my neighbors in my building, and I met so many people through the dining hall, just having to eat in the same spot. I would definitely recommend living on campus. I think it provides a great way to get involved and put yourself out there, especially coming from living at home. Living on campus provides you an excellent first step to experiencing responsibility and freedom while still having access to support. Plus, there's the added bonus of being a 5-minute walk away from all your classes.
Yeah, I think the convenience of being on campus is really great. You can like wake up 10 minutes before an 8 a.m. So it's just a really great opportunity if you can. And I guess on the other side of that as well. So Ashton, you as a commuter student, what was your experience like having to commute to campus, and how do you remain connected to the campus experience?
Yeah, good question. So I actually live about 25 minutes away from the campus by car. I do drive a car to campus. So far, it's been a really positive experience. There's been really not much issue with it. I don't take the bus, but I know a lot of friends who take the bus. And in Kelowna, at least the Okanagan campus, the buses are definitely an adequate way of transportation. And the bus pass is also included in the student fees, so that's a nice bonus. How do I keep connected with the student experience on campus? There was definitely a bit of a feeling that I was missing out sometimes, just like not being able to be there all the time. But at the same time, I also made friends who were either living on campus or knew of events, and then also following Instagram pages and social media, and just keeping an eye open for extra events on campus that I can go to. It's a really great opportunity to stay connected. So yeah, I recommend it.
Great, thank you so much for that. And yeah, I think it's good to highlight as well that there are a lot of commuter students, a lot of people that live around the campus, or people that just live off campus as well. So there's always going to be an event for you to hang out on campus as well. It's also collegias if you're commuter students in your first year to stay connected on campus. And I'm seeing Yena ask a question in the chat about hearing more about the co-op opportunities at UBC. And that's really good. We're going to get into that section a little bit later during our panel chat today, but keep an eye out for that. And then I guess redirecting from our discussion on a supportive community to the academic side of things, in particular, the transition from high school to university. So passing off my first question to our panelists, Robin, what was the transition like from high school to university courses like for you? And what resources did you use to manage your course load?
Yeah, so I found the transition to university courses was a lot of fun. because it's exciting to get to take degree-specific courses that you don't get to do in high school. It also comes with a lot of freedom in your schedule. In the first month, I found I definitely had a hard time managing my time and balancing my social versus school life. Talking with my peers and upper year students helped me find a schedule that worked for me. It was also super helpful to ask for them for their advice and listen to their experiences. Along with this, I used the engineering advisors to help me decide what course load was right for me. I definitely recommend taking advantage of the resources available, as the staff are more than willing to help you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then moving on to Jing, how were your first year classes structured at UBC, and what's good about the SCTs in your opinion?
So first year courses at UBC Vancouver campus. So what you need to understand is that when we register for courses, we pick something called STT, Standard Timetable. So compared to a normal art student taking courses, they get to pick, they have a list of courses that they need to take, and then they would need to plan it out and place it in their timetable themselves to coordinate all of the timing. But for us, we're given the timetable in the form that's already set out. So the timing and everything has already been decided. So all you have to do is to pick a timetable out of the many that they've given to you. So you might think, oh, so I can just pick any of them. So my advice would be pick one that works the best for you in terms of what type of learning would you like to do? Do you work better in the morning? Do you work better at night? Do you prefer classes starting at later at the evening? So there's also one thing I want to mention is I took around 12 courses because I didn't have credits for any of the classes. But a lot of my friends, they told me they have credit to sub in for some classes. So what they did is they took classes that are called complementary electives. So you can also slot them in based on whether you have transfer credit for some of your classes. And for me, I chose a standard timetable that works best for me because I prefer to wake up in the morning and do lectures in the morning. So yeah, that's my input for how first year courses is structured at UBC.
Awesome, thank you. That was really nice and thorough as well. And I saw somebody also asked a question about the course registration at UBCO. So I know that UBCO, they're switching from an SCT to a cohort-like setting, but the registration processes is just still be very similar. But I'm not sure if Ashton or Robin, if you guys would also like to pitch into how you registered for courses at UBCO as well.
Yeah, I can add something to that. So it's very similar to what Jing described from my experience. Yeah, there was a big list of a variety of standard timetables that you could choose. And then, yeah, exactly what Jing described, just picking a timetable that works with how you function throughout the day. So personally, I like doing like a lot of hard work and lectures in the morning just to get that out of the way, and then doing review and everything in the evening. And yeah, and it's really dependent on your lifestyle, because I know a lot of people who love the evening classes and that works for them. So it's really flexible and it was super easy to register.
Awesome, thank you. And then I guess with that too, somebody also asked, are there standard timetables available for second year too? And I would just say, at least from my own personal experience, there are standardized timetables also into the upper years as well, but then you also have a bit more flexibility because at that point you're also taking some technical electives. So the standardized timetables aren't as general, aren't as many classes because you have to fill them in with your other options and electives. And then I guess another question, which I will ask to Krish. Nicole asked, what is the work-life balance for you like in your first year at UBC engineering? So if you have any takes on that as well.
For sure. At first, I'll be honest, it was quite hard to figure out that balance because I felt like as soon as you start, you're kind of overloaded with a lot of stuff. Taking 5 to 6, some people take 7 courses per semester is quite a different experience from high school. I find most people in the program found that high school was much more easier than like their first semester of engineering. So at first, I'll be honest, I struggled a lot, but what really helped was making friends and finding people with similar interests. So like as Jing mentioned, jumpstart and going to events like that. Just finding people like that you have interest with, and then you can build a connection with. So it's like you're basically struggling together, which basically creates like this unity essentially. And then at a certain point, studying is also socializing. So you somehow mix it in the work life, and then eventually you understand how to manage your time, and then it's much easier to really like balance everything together. But it's definitely a process. You won't get it right away, so give it some time, but you'll definitely get there.
Yeah, that was really well put. Everything heals with time, so just be patient with yourself, truly. A couple more questions. Okay, about humanities electives. I'm not sure if anybody's taken a really fun humanities elective that they'd want to share a little bit more about. Anybody? No?
I took a Egyptian religion studies during summer. It was really fun. I get to learn about all of the different deities, and yeah, I really enjoyed that class. But some people, as I mentioned, some people also prefer to do their electives over the summer, which is what I did. And it's just a lot more fun. You can pick something that you actually enjoy without having to worry about physics, math, and like exams and stuff. So that's also an alternative option if anybody's interested. But I did my elective during the summer. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'm going to look into that as well. And then I guess related to UBCO as well, Jesse also asked if there's any convenient transportation to Silver Star or Big White for any snowboarders or skiers out there.
I usually drive when I go because I have a car here. But I think my friends have said that the gym does student passes, and I think they help like run buses up every I think like once a month or something. But they will like plan it out. But besides that, I don't think that there are.
Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, and then Robin, I have another question for you actually. So last month we hosted the Changing the World, Engineering the Future event, and a focus on encouraging high school girls and gender nonconforming students to consider engineering as a future career. So one of the questions that was asked to current women students was, what were your fears going into a male-dominated field, and what was the reality once you started studying engineering? And I think this is such an important question. So Robin, would you like to have a go at answering this? Sorry, it's a heavy question.
Definitely. I was originally quite nervous going into a male-dominated field because I thought I would be left out of group projects and like talked over. But while I admit there have been a few instances where I've been the only girl in a class, I've received nothing but support and encouragement from my classmates. Although it may initially have been a bit discouraging, I've met so many great people throughout my time in engineering so far, some of which are my closest friends. I think I was definitely more nervous than I needed to be when coming into engineering because, as you will soon learn, regardless of your gender, everyone's kind of in this together. Along with this, I joined the Women in Engineering Club, which I think is a club on both campuses. And it's provided me with so much support throughout my past 2 years. I got to meet a bunch of upper year students who have told me about their experiences and provided advice. I definitely recommend this for all girls who are coming into engineering, as it provides extra support and lets you meet people outside of classes who you may not have met otherwise.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was a great response. So I'm seeing a couple questions in the chat. So Isaac asked about, do you have to choose one of the pre-made schedules or can you make your own? I believe for first year, you do have to stick with the standardized timetables. But as Ashton and Jing mentioned as well, there's so many to choose from. So there's guaranteed to be one that would fit between what you're looking for as well. Okay. So what exploring our interest in engineering and beyond. Krish, how do you explore your interest within engineering? Did you join any design teams or any clubs? And can you tell us a bit more about them?
For sure. In my first year, I joined one design team. It was called UBC Thunder Bikes. And essentially, the whole premise was taking a normal bicycle and electrifying it. And so making it so that it just runs by power. So it's basically turning a normal bike into an electric bike. And what really got me into that is like I like to bike in my free time. So it was literally during Imagine Day on the Vancouver campus. There's a bunch of booths on Main Mall, and all the design teams, all the clubs are there. So I was literally just walking, and I saw their bike on display, and then I just asked for more information, and they told me to apply, and I applied, did the whole interview process, and I got accepted. So that was a really good experience. Although I had no intention of going into like the mechanical or electrical side of engineering, it was just nice being exposed to that type of things, especially in my first year, because first year is a common year, so it was just nice getting exposed to that. And then in my second year, which is I guess a bit more related to my degree, I was in concrete canoe, and as the name suggests, we made a canoe made out of concrete. That was really fun too because it was more hands-on. I felt because we were actually like mixing the concrete, placing the concrete, and doing all of that. So I had a really lot of fun there, and also it was with people that are in civil and geo. So I was able to network and make more friends in my program and like similar programs. So that also helped with school, like if you're struggling in a course, just like messaging people asking if they want to study together and things like that. So I've had like really positive experiences, and also they do look really good on resumes. It shows like employers that you are like taking the initiative to really put yourself out there. So in terms of my experience, I had really good experiences with design teams.
That's really great. Thank you. And yeah, I found a lot of employers too, because the design teams are usually such unique projects. They just want to hear about like what you did and what the project was. So that's really interesting. I guess with that too, what was the biggest lesson that you learned from being a part of a design team?
Biggest lesson, I realized that there's so much like intricacies on how things are run, like especially with clubs and just like I guess like when you graduate from engineering, you eventually will work at a company. And I realized that engineering is not just like if you know all the technical knowledge, there's so much more to engineering than just knowing like 1 + 1 = 2. Like to be a good engineer, you need to have good soft skills, like be able to communicate effectively. And I think that's what I really took away from it. Like I realized that the smartest person who like probably knows all the theory, blah blah blah, like that doesn't mean you're the best engineer. Like it's you really want to be well rounded in different aspects. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from that.
Awesome. Thank you. And just again, a reminder, if you have any questions related to course registration or about acceptances, just feel free to ask that in the advisor session happening at 7:15. And I guess going into the English requirement for first year, is there a mandatory English course that you have to take like in high school, or do you get to study text like Shakespeare? Or is it more about lab writing and how to write labs? So Ashton, I guess with your first year English courses, how did you go about doing that? Did you take a standard English class? Or did you take a different kind of elective? If you could tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So full disclosure, I'm not a big English guy. That's definitely my least favorite subject. But actually, I was pleasantly surprised in first year that for me personally, we don't study Shakespeare or text, and it is more focused to technical communication, which is communication that's more relevant to a job setting, internal communication, and writing technical reports. So I actually found that I enjoy some parts of English in that sense, and it was generally a positive experience. So a lot different from high school English, but um, definitely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like the uni courses, they're definitely structured differently than high school, so there's more chance for you to explore within and actually like get a good passion for it. I agree with you. English isn't always the most fun class, but they can make it fun. There's a lot of different English options, so definitely look into that. So a question I'm seeing getting a lot of upvotes here. Oh, I missed it now. But it was basically just about like how many courses or how many other design teams or clubs students can participate in while studying on top of their classes. And while design teams and extra clubs, like they're a lot of fun, they could also have usually a time commitment to them. So just be careful about how much you take on. Also know that you might have a full-time course. That would be a good thing to also bring up in the advising session as well, or just once you're to bring up with your own personal advisor. Okay. So, okay, Krish, I have another question for you. I'm sure you joined some clubs outside of engineering as well, or participated in some extracurricular events that weren't technical in nature. and you've been involved in UBC Rec. So could you tell us a little bit more about your experience there?
For sure. So yeah, I joined UBC Rec this academic year. So UBC Rec, it's basically their big events are Longboat, Storm the Wall, Triathlon, and then they're in charge of all the intramural leagues at UBC Vancouver. So like for basketball, we have like intramural leagues for basketball, dodgeball, volleyball. Honestly, any type of sport, we probably have it. Me specifically, I was part of the basketball intramural league, and the main reason that I joined rec or applied to be in rec was like I wanted to like broaden my I guess network, because I felt like I was around, not saying this is a bad thing, but I was around a lot of engineers 24/7. So I thought maybe let's branch out, meet new people from different faculties, and just I just wanted to expand and see what's out there pretty much. So that's what prompted me to apply for UBC Recreation, and I don't regret it at all. I made some really good friends. It's really fun volunteering for the program as well. A lot of opportunities with that as well, and it's just nice to create new friends essentially. So that was really what prompted me for that.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. I'm seeing another question from Christina here. So approximately how many hours do you get a day with classes of homework, and what are some recommendations of keeping on top of it? So Jing, do you have any inputs with this question here?
For first year, I think approximately I would start classes because I chose the timetable with earlier timing, so don't get shocked, but I would start classes at 8, and then I would get maybe 2 lectures in, and I'll have a slot that's a big break, and then 2 more lectures or 1 more lecture, and I'm done for the day. But what I like to do is just have meals with my friend during the big break and talk about, oh, what's your plan for today? How much are you going to study? And then after class, we like to work on what we call web work together. It's like a homework assignment. So you get to do homework with them. And when we have a test coming out, we would study together. So it's really hard to categorize my time as this is the amount of time I spend not studying, and this is the amount of time I spend studying. But I would say it's a good mix between 4 hours of studying per day. But definitely, I think when you live around campus and you see people that you go to school with all the time, studying will become something that's less of a lonely, grinding away exams at the library sort of experience. You get to just voice out, hey, I don't understand this concept. How do you verbalize it? Explain this to me. Sorry. You get to talk about a lot of problems with your friends, so it's a more fun experience and also more interactive. I enjoy staying over after classes, talking to prof, and just try to reach out as much as possible. And yeah, I hope that answered the question.
I think so. That was really good. Yeah, I think a lot of times the studying too might seem like a long time period that you're putting towards it, but it's spending time doing homework or asking questions or collaborating on a project. So time really does fly by.
Identifying what you don't know and just ask around. And I feel like it's more you're doing a research about this topic and, figuring things out instead of this is how to do this, XYZ. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay, another question I'm seeing having a lot of upvotes is, okay, how well does high school calculus prepare you for first year calculus? If anybody would like to take on this question, feel free.
Yeah, sure, I can speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, high school calculus, in my case, it definitely really prepared me for first year calculus. I found there was a lot of overlap actually, and for that reason, I do like math. I do like calculus. I did well in high school, so for that reason, I also found it was probably one of my easier courses, just because there was a lot of overlap with calculus in high school. So I wouldn't stress over it, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that question can be definitely tough sometimes, but it's the same material, just communicated differently. So All right. So in your placement, another question for you, Ashton. How would you say your first year experience was like with UBC's foundational first year? And how did that help you make an informed decision about the program that you're currently in?
Yeah, so first year covers a lot of things from English, math, chemistry, physics, and just a really lot of basic concepts. So it is kind of hard sometimes to imagine the specific applications in a specific specialization. But I did find that there were some, like when you're doing physics practice problems, that it's pretty obvious where they would be able to apply. And that kind of helped me choose mechanical engineering because I was really interested in dynamics and statics and a lot of physics-based problems as opposed to like electromagnetism and stuff like that. And then another thing that I would really recommend is speaking to your peers and speaking to upper year students, because in my experience, they're absolutely always open to talking about what their courses are like and tell you what their specialization is like. And that for me was probably the most helpful thing. And just another thing to mention is if you have absolutely no idea which specialization you want to do right now, that's completely okay because I was in the exact same position as you are, and it worked out for me, and now I feel very confident in my specialization.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that too. And I guess with that, in your own decision making, were there any other experiences that it might have factored into you choosing the program that you're in as well?
Yeah, so definitely peers, and then also hearing about professors and what they're actually working on. Because sometimes the professors will, like in their introductions, they'll talk about what they do for their jobs outside of teaching. And I found hearing what their engineering specialization was and what they got to do because of it was also very beneficial, as you could kind of see yourself in their shoes down the line and get an idea of it. But yeah, and also just doing some research on like mechanical engineering careers or electrical engineering careers can be super helpful because there's a lot of options out there for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think just honestly getting like a first-hand experience with people in different ways is a great way to get a nice opinion as well. So another question I'm seeing is pretty popular here from Pravnor. So I'm gonna ask this for Robin. What kind of homework did you get in your first year? And is it like homework in high school? For example, like math, how there's lots of practice questions, or how was it kind of structured for you in your first year?
I would say it really varies depending on the course you're doing or the professor you have. There are some courses, like I think maybe calculus, where they give you like a bunch of questions and you it's less about like turning them in, but kind of just like you get problem sets and you can practice them if you want to, but you probably won't end up turning them all in like you would in high school. Whereas other classes, they maybe don't give you like any homework, and they'll go over a couple questions in the tutorial, and it's kind of up to you to seek out extra questions if that's what you're looking for. But I would say some courses are pretty similar to high school, whereas others are going to be completely different. But I guess you get to experience that as you find out.
Definitely. Thank you. And I saw a lot of questions about co-op earlier in the chat. So, Jing, I have a couple questions for you here because I know you've been involved in co-op. So in regards to the co-op program at UBC, could you tell us a bit more about what the process of joining co-op was like?
I believe it was early or late in August. So the application was just handing in a resume and also doing a video interview. The application process was not tedious at all. It was very intuitive. So I think we got an email regarding if you want to join co-op, remember to apply by this deadline. And they tell you you need to do a video interview to explain about why you want to join co-op and explain your passions, and also hand in a resume. So I did the interview and the resume. It was really, really intuitive and a really fast application too. So it wasn't too complicated for anybody that's interested in it. And don't worry about it. You will definitely get more resources about it, and you will hear about it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think co-op is something that you will get a bit more information about in your second year, because that's when you start applying for it, or in the start of your third year. So it's good to keep to know about it in your first year as well, but you don't need to worry about it too much in your first year. And okay, so I'm gonna ask a question about Jumpstart, about what it is. So Jumpstart is basically just like a type of orientation program at both campuses where you get to move onto campus earlier, just come to campus earlier, and explore, find people in your program, and just do a lot of cool events. It's just a great way to meet different people and to also just get settled before school starts. So you can check out a bit more about that by just doing some research, or I can find a link for you as well. Okay, so even outside of the co-op program, you can still gain experience by conducting research with a professor on campus. And I know some people ask some questions about, speaking to a professor and hearing about the research. So Ashton, you've done some research at your time at UBC. So how did you find a professor to work with?
Yeah, I do have the privilege of doing research at UBC Okanagan, and honestly, I didn't really picture myself doing research, but I was nominated for the undergraduate research award, which I was very humbly accepted, and that kind of booted me through the research to talk to somebody. And in terms of finding a professor, I would just recommend, if there's a class that you go to and you're excited to go to, or you're just looking forward in the material to see what's next and it gets you excited, go talk to that prof and just let them talk about what they're working on, if they're doing research or what their specific research is focused on, because no doubt they will be able to talk about it for hours, and it usually makes them pretty happy when they talk about it as well. So yeah, for me, that was a material science professor, um, Dr. Lucas Bickler. Shout out to him. But yeah, it was really easy to talk to him and get to work in the lab as well.
Yeah, that's great. Honestly, professors can seem very intimidating, but they're people too, and they're just passionate about what they're doing, and they would love to chat. So I guess with that too, what did you work on in your research?
Yeah, so I just kind of started getting into it before Christmas break. So right now I'm working on a project regarding a high tungsten steel alloy, and as well as a project related to recycling rubber, using a specific component of rubber and processing it and recycling it. Um, in terms of the actual work that you get to do as an undergraduate student, it may not be the most advanced or technical work. Like for me, I was polishing samples on a grind wheel for hours at a time. But if you're passionate about it, it's really fulfilling still, even just doing the kind of menial tasks. And there's a lot of opportunity to learn as well, because everybody in the lab is usually just really friendly and would love to share what they're doing. And so I've learned a ton of information from them as well.
Awesome, thank you. And Isaac is asking a question here that kind of relates to my next question, but in terms of your research as well, do you get paid for this research? Is it unpaid? Is it grant based? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so I actually am getting paid an hourly wage for doing research. I don't believe all positions are like this. There's volunteer positions as well. To be honest, when I went into it, I didn't even ask if I was getting paid until the first day I started working, and then I realized, oh, I'm getting paid for this. So, which was a bonus. But yeah, there's definitely opportunities for scholarships as well regarding that, and awards. Yeah, it definitely depends on the professor in the lab.
Yeah, that means you had the passion was there, definitely. And I guess with your research then, how are you leveraging that experience professionally as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I haven't um, particularly yet used that in a professional sense, but definitely added to my resume, and knowing that there's a lot of like hands-on skills that I'm learning in the lab, like using a grind wheel or conducting Charpy tests or doing certain things that definitely an employer will look at, and that's a plus for them. So yeah, for future jobs, it's definitely giving me a sense of security, safe, like good, feeling more confident in my hands-on skills. Um, yeah, and being able to make connections as well is really huge because I've met a lot of extremely smart people, and people who are very open to discussing the research. Maybe you could refer me in the future. Um, yeah, it's just very positive overall.
Awesome, thank you. And I just have one more quick question here for Krish. We only have a couple minutes left in this. So outside of the co-op and explicit research programs, you can also gain work experience through the Work Learn program at UBC. So this kind of experience may not always be technical, but can certainly expose you to the professional world. So Krish, can you tell us a bit more about your experience in the Work Learn program?
For sure. I'll try to be quick. I've done 2 work learns so far. This is my second work learn right now. So I'm working with the engineering recruitment services, and I'm doing it's a marketing role. So I'm involved with all the emails and any sort of articles that goes on the website. And just for people who don't know what work learn is, it's basically like a program made by UBC to like give more job opportunities to students. And they use, from what I know, like they cap it out at 10 hours per week. So you can get the variety of jobs you can get with work are really diverse. Like you can get anything from a more technical role to something uh, different. Like I did something in marketing, which is not related to engineering, but you can do something. Honestly, you can find something that you're interested. You'll find it. And the nice thing about it is you do get paid, and the wage is slightly above minimum, and it can range honestly anywhere from like minimum to around $20 per hour. So if you're looking for some part-time work during the semester or during the summer, I would definitely recommend doing work learn because it just gives you another experience and opportunity to get like a foot inside the real world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And it looks like we're almost out of time. Oh, we are out of time. But I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question today. There'll be an opportunity to submit your questions. I think we're going to send out an email with just a Q&A chat as well. So you can ask any questions there. But I just want to say thank you to all our panelists for speaking today and for sharing about your experience. And thank you to all our participants for asking such great questions. And feel free to explore the sessions. I believe that they're still open, as well as the advice and Q&A. So be sure to check that out as well. And yeah, just thank you for joining us. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye, thank you.